Have you ever found yourself in that quiet, often unspoken space where the woman who once ignited your world now feels like a familiar yet distant presence? She is there, beside you, perhaps even sharing your home, your daily rhythms. Her laughter still echoes in the halls, her scent lingers on the pillows. Yet the invisible current, the electric hum that once charged the very air between you, seems to have faded. It's not an argument that created this chasm, not a dramatic rupture. It's something far more subtle, a gradual quietude, a slow drift into the unspoken. We often misinterpret this delicate shift. We might hastily conclude that desire itself has simply withered, that the flame has died, or that love has somehow diminished. We might even accuse ourselves or her of losing something essential. But what if this feeling, this profound sense of a beloved becoming a roommate, is not an ending at all? What if it is, in truth, a gentle whisper from the depths of the soul, an invitation? A quiet call to look not outwards for a solution, but inwards, deeper than you've ever dared to gaze before. Think of it. That initial spark, that magnetic pull, what was it truly? Was it merely the physical form that captivated you, or was it something more profound, something unseen yet undeniably felt? It was the vibrant pulse of life energy, recognizing and calling to itself. Between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself. A current so potent, so ancient, it predates all words, all societal norms. It is the very force that weaves galaxies and paints dawns. And when we experience that quiet distancing, that sense of a beloved becoming a stranger in familiar skin, it often signifies not a loss of love, but a subtle disruption, a subtle blockage in the flow of that very life current. Consider the nature of desire. We are often taught to view it as a raw, primal urge, sometimes even a dangerous one, to be controlled or suppressed. But I ask you to reimagine it. Desire is the language through which the soul speaks. It is not just the body calling for union, it is the soul singing for connection, for resonance, for the profound acknowledgement of its own aliveness reflected in another. When that song seems to quiet, it is rarely because the melody has vanished. More often, it is because the ears have stopped listening, or the heart has forgotten how to hear. This gentle ache, this quiet sadness you might feel when she walks past, and you find yourself wondering where the girl you fell in love with has gone, this is not a sign of failure. It is a profound signal. It is your own being yearning for that lost connection, not just with her, but with the very source of your own vitality. When energy is blocked, we don't lose sex, we lose vitality itself. We lose the spark in our eyes, the spring in our step, the creative fire that once fueled our every endeavor. The energy that draws us to another is the same energy that inspires us to create, to heal, to build. Perhaps you've noticed how her presence, once a vibrant hum, now feels muted. Her laughter, once full and unrestrained, might now carry a subtle veil. Her touch, when it comes, might feel dutiful rather than alive with recognition. This is not her fault, nor yours. It is simply the universe reflecting back to you a truth about energy. When a woman breathes deeply, life breathes with her. When her energy is open, flowing, she becomes a vibrant conduit for life itself.
And when that flow becomes constrained, muted, it affects everything around her, including the man who loves her. It's not a conscious choice on her part to withdraw. It's an energetic phenomenon. She too may be feeling this quiet ache, this sense of unexpressed longing. We live in a world that often teaches us to dissect, to analyze, to fix. But this space we are exploring, this delicate dance of human connection, requires a different approach. It asks for presence. It asks for observation without judgment. It asks for a gentle turning towards rather than a turning away. This feeling of a silent distance is not a problem to be solved with techniques or arguments. It is a mystery to be felt, to be explored, to be understood through the quiet wisdom of your own heart. Attraction in its purest form is not sin. It is the universe remembering itself. It is the recognition of resonant frequencies, the dance of complementary energies. When that memory fades or becomes obscured, it is an invitation to clear the pathways, to remember the sacredness of the connection you once shared, and to understand that this sacredness extends far beyond the physical. It permeates every aspect of your shared life, your shared dreams, your shared silence. So, when you feel that subtle ache, that quiet sense of longing for what was or what could be, remember that this feeling itself is a gift. It is a beacon, guiding you towards a deeper truth. It is not a call to despair, but a quiet, powerful summons to rekindle, not just passion, but the very essence of life within and between you. It is a moment to pause, to breathe, and to simply be present with the subtle, profound currents that shape our human experience. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. We speak of love, of course, that deep, abiding connection. But sometimes, even when love remains, something else begins to recede. A quiet current, once vibrant, now merely a whisper, or perhaps silent altogether. She becomes less a partner in the dance of life, and more a fellow traveler sharing a common path, a common roof, a roommate. And we wonder, where did the music go? Where did the electric hum, the subtle pull simply vanish? It is not a sudden storm that extinguishes the flame. No, it is often a slow, almost imperceptible shift, a gradual cooling, like a river once flowing freely, now encountering a series of tiny dams, unseen from the surface, but relentlessly slowing its course. The vital current, the very elan of connection, it does not die. It simply, quietly becomes blocked. Life, with its relentless demands, its routines, its unspoken anxieties, it builds walls, brick by quiet brick, even in the most loving spaces. We become adept at doing, at managing, at problem solving. We navigate the complexities of careers, of children, of finances. We build empires of efficiency, mastering the external world. But perhaps in this mastery, we become less adept at simply being, less skilled at the profound receptive art of presence. And this is where the current often falters. This is where the vibrancy, the living pulse, begins to dim. Think of the unspoken resentments, those tiny, sharp fragments of hurt, never voiced, never acknowledged. They are like stones thrown into the clear stream.
Each one, on its own, seems insignificant. A minor oversight, a small slight, a misunderstanding brushed aside. But over time, they accumulate. They settle at the bottom, forming a jagged bed, disrupting the smooth flow. They create turbulence, a subtle resistance. The water, the energy, must now expend more effort to pass over them rather than simply moving with ease. We tell ourselves it's not important. We suppress the feeling for the sake of peace, for the sake of harmony. But the body remembers. The soul remembers. These unspoken burdens become weight, a quiet heaviness that dulls the senses, that stiffens the spirit. They build an invisible wall between two hearts that once knew no such barrier. The very ease of touch, the spontaneous glance, the simple joy of shared quiet, they become just a little bit harder, a little bit more distant. And then there is fatigue. Oh, the profound weariness of modern life. We are constantly giving, constantly doing, constantly striving. Our nervous systems are perpetually attuned to the next task, the next notification, the next demand. There is little space left for replenishment,
for true, deep rest that nourishes the very core of our being. When the body is exhausted, when the mind is cluttered with endless to-do lists, where is the energy left for the subtle dance of intimacy? The sensual energy, the creative life force, it requires presence. It requires a certain quality of relaxed awareness. It demands a surrender to the moment. But when we are perpetually drained, perpetually operating on fumes, that surrender feels like another burden. It feels like one more thing on the list, rather than the natural expression of our aliveness. When energy is blocked, we don't lose sex. We lose vitality. We lose the very spring in our step, the sparkle in our eyes, the spontaneous laughter that once filled our homes. The capacity for deep, resonant connection dwindles, not because the love is gone, but because the energy to fuel it has been depleted, redirected, or simply held captive by exhaustion. Consider also the fear of vulnerability. This is a profound, often unconscious barrier. To truly connect, to truly allow the life force to flow between us, we must be open, raw, unprotected. We must shed the layers of our daily armor, the masks we wear for the world. But life, with its inevitable hurts and disappointments, teaches us caution. We learn to guard our hearts, to protect our sensitive places. We build defenses, brick by careful brick, against potential pain. And so we hold back. We hold back our deepest desires, our most tender longings, our rawest fears. We become adept at presenting a polished, capable self, even to those we love most. But the current of sensual energy thrives on authenticity, on transparency. It needs the vulnerability of a shared breath, an unguarded gaze. When we are afraid to be seen fully, truly, then the energy cannot flow freely. It becomes hesitant, tentative, like a shy deer at the edge of a forest, unwilling to step into the open. The fear of being wounded, of being misunderstood, of not being enough, it becomes a dam, holding back the very river that seeks to unite us. Then there is the quiet erosion of routine, the comfortable, predictable patterns of daily life. Routine offers security, stability, but without conscious attention, without a deliberate infusion of novelty and wonder, it can also become a cage.
The familiar gestures, the predictable conversations, the preordained roles, they can slowly, subtly stifle the spontaneous combustion of desire. We fall into habits. We assume we know the other. We stop truly seeing them, stop truly listening to the new music of their day, the new nuances in their soul. We stop exploring. And the sensual current, like any living thing, yearns for discovery, for freshness, for the thrill of the unknown within the known. When the landscape of our shared life becomes too predictable, too well-trodden, the spirit of adventure, which is intimately tied to the spirit of desire, begins to wane. The energy gets stuck, not so much in conflict, but in the mundane, in the unspoken, in the fear of being vulnerable. And finally, the constant distraction of worldly concerns, the incessant hum of the external world, our phones, our screens, our news feeds, our endless stream of information. We are constantly pulled outwards, our attention fragmented, our focus scattered. We become skilled at multitasking, at juggling multiple demands, but this leaves little space for the deep, sustained focus that intimacy requires. To truly engage with another, to truly open to the sensual current, demands a singular attention, a quiet absorption. It asks us to put down the devices, to turn off the noise, to simply be with the presence of the other. But we have become so accustomed to stimulation, so addicted to distraction, that quiet presence can feel unnerving. It can feel like an empty space that needs to be filled. And so, the energy that might flow between us is siphoned off, diverted into the countless channels of external engagement. The deep well of connection remains untouched because our attention is always somewhere else, everywhere else, but here. These are the silent architects of the walls that grow between us, not lack of love,
not malice, but the insidious buildup of unaddressed hurts, the relentless drain of fatigue, the self-protective fear of vulnerability, the dulling effect of unexamined routine, and the scattering force of constant distraction. Love doesn't disappear. The vitality within it, that current that once electrified every touch, does. It retreats, not because it has ceased to exist, but because the pathways for its flow have become obstructed. The spirit yearns, the body remembers, but the conscious channels are blocked. Desire is the language through which the soul speaks, and when that language becomes muted, it is a sign that the soul itself is feeling unheard, unseen, or simply exhausted. It is not a failing, it is a signal, a quiet invitation to look deeper, to gently clear the path, to remember what was once so effortlessly vibrant. A man doesn't lose power when he ages. He loses it when he stops looking with wonder. And a woman doesn't lose her essence with time. She loses it when she stops feeling the sacred pulse of her own being. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. We often speak of desire as if it were a simple craving, a physical urge, a whisper of the body. But what if it is more? What if that familiar current, that spark between two souls, is not just passion, but life itself? Consider the breath. It flows through us, unseen, yet it animates every cell. It is movement. It is presence.
It is the very essence of being. Desire, too, carries this same vital current. It is the pulse that quickens the heart, yes, but it is also the quiet hum that enlivens our spirit. A creative force. A healing touch. The very core of our vitality. It is the very essence of being. Desire, too, carries this same vital current. It is the pulse that quickens the heart, yes, but it is also the quiet hum that enlivens our spirit. A creative force. A healing touch. The very core of our vitality. a willingness to peel back the layers of expectation and habit to find the essence beneath. When a woman breathes deeply, life breathes with her. Her entire being becomes a conduit for that primal energy. And when we witness this, when we allow ourselves to truly perceive the depth of her breath, the gentle rise and fall of her chest, the subtle vitality that emanates from her very presence, something shifts within us too. Our own breath deepens, our own life force begins to stir. Perhaps you haven't truly seen her, not with that quality of presence, in a very long time. Perhaps you've been looking through the lens of memory, or expectation, or even quiet complaint. But to see her now, as if for the first time, with curiosity, with reverence, with an open heart, this is where the path of return truly begins. It is a courageous act to truly see, to allow yourself to be vulnerable to the beauty, the mystery, the very raw humanness of another. Because when you see her, you must also feel. And feeling, for many of us, has become a forgotten art. We have learned to intellectualize, to analyze, to distance ourselves from the raw current of emotion. But desire, my friends, is not merely a physical craving. Desire is the language through which the soul speaks. It is the yearning for connection, for wholeness, for the sacred dance of life to express itself through our bodies, through our spirits. It is a longing for the flow. When energy is blocked, we don't lose sex in the narrowest sense. We lose vitality. We lose the creative spark that animates our days, the inspiration that fuels our dreams, the very joy of being alive. The intimacy we crave is not just about the body. It is about the unfettered flow of this life current between two beings. So how do we unblock it? How do we invite that flow back? It starts with the simple, profound act of presence, to sit with her, not planning, not judging, not analyzing, but simply being. To listen, not just to her words, but to the unspoken melody beneath them. To hold her gaze, even for a few seconds longer than feels comfortable, allowing the windows of your souls to truly meet. This is not about forcing a feeling. It is about creating the space for feeling to emerge, for the quiet echoes of longing and hope to rise. It is about understanding that attraction is not sin. It's the universe remembering itself. It's the fundamental impulse of creation seeking to express itself through human form, through human connection. To touch her hand, not as a habitual gesture, but with conscious awareness. To feel the warmth of her skin, the texture, the subtle pulse of life beneath your fingertips. To remember that this body, which you know so well, is a sacred vessel, and through it, through her, flows the ancient, vibrant river of life. This path of return is not a race. It is a slow unfolding, a gentle reacquaintance with the most powerful force within us. It asks for patience. It asks for tenderness. It asks for the courage to feel again, deeply and without reservation. To allow that quiet sadness, that gentle longing, that burgeoning hope to simply be. To acknowledge that you are seeking meaning, not just physical release, that you long for intimacy to become inspiration, strength, creativity once more. And as you begin to practice this presence, this seeing, this listening, you will notice a change, not just in her, but within yourself. The world will feel a little brighter. The air will feel a little clearer. The current, which has always been there, will begin to stir.
It's the recognition of the divine spark in another, a resonance that reminds us of the divine spark within ourselves. To deny this attraction, to deny the warmth that can rise within us, is to deny a part of life's own design. So this distance you feel, this longing for what once was,
It is not a sign of absence, it is a sign of awakening, a gentle nudge to remember. To remember that between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself, a current so profound, so ancient, that it can transform everything it touches. It asks you to soften, to release the armor you may have unknowingly built around your heart, to shed the layers of expectation, of fear, of perceived inadequacy that have muffled the song of your own essence. Perhaps you feel that time has stolen something from you, that youth with its vibrant, effortless passion is gone. But a man doesn't lose power when he ages, he loses it when he stops looking with wonder. And a woman's power, her deep, magnetic sensuality, only deepens with the wisdom of her years if she allows it to unfold. This energy, this sacred fire, does not diminish, it matures. It asks to be understood, to be honored, to be expressed in ways that are richer, more profound, more authentic than ever before. When we cease to be afraid of our own profound energy, when we embrace the quiet wisdom of our bodies and our souls, life begins to flow again, not rushing, but steadily, bright and true. A current of peace, of deep inner warmth, of revitalized possibility. It is a quiet revolution, a turning inward to find the source of all outward connection, to remember that the wellspring of love, of desire, of creative force has always been within you, waiting. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken.